Welcome back, everybody, to Lone Lab Podcast, episode 4. We are your hosts. My name is Jimmy White, and I'm with my good friend, co-host Mr. Weber. James, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great, man. This is episode 4, version 2, V2.
Version 2. We've already filmed this episode a couple of times. We had a little bit of a snafu last time, so thank you guys. Sorry for the wait, but we are back.
Yeah, and it was my fault. I was going to nip it in the butt here. It was my fault. Came in hot, didn't have the audio ready to roll, but we're back.
Filmed a whole episode and then it just wasn't ready. So we're back. We're re-recording, and look who we have here.
He's back.
He's back.
What's up, everybody? Good to be back.
Welcome back, Mr. Gabrione. How are we doing today?
Great to be back.
Great to have you.
Great to have you. It's great to have you.
Let's go.
Best guest?
We had an audition.
Best
everyone
guest?
knows about
Co-host?
the audition.
Co-host.
What'd you think? How do you think you did on
host
your
of all time.
How you think you did on your audition?
Well, I
last
wasn't
time?
told that I was being auditioned, so it's
Pretty
a little
good
hard
audition,
to
though.
answer a call middle of a meeting. Big appointment. Missed a call apparently on the last episode as I was being auditioned. If I answered, apparently I was going to be a co-host. Since I didn't answer, I'm delegated to best guest of all time again. So we're going to talk about that.
And sponsor of the podcast.
Let's talk about the gear.
He just buys us all the gear.
Gear.
Let's
go.
We got the Lone Lab Podcast shirts. We got hats. We got hoodies on right now. Thank you, Mr. Gabrione, for sponsoring the podcast. We appreciate it.
Love it.
The gear's sick.
Tell us a little bit more about your ideas for the podcast as well too. We were kind of talking about that previously.
I think we got to give the people what they want. We got to do some giveaways. I'm thinking some Cubs tickets, some Sox tickets, some Bulls tickets.
Love it.
I got some other special ideas that I don't want to give everything away. Don't want to share all the sugar right now, right? Like
share the sugar.
Just a ploy to get back.
I think we need the people
again,
to speak up. And let's maybe have them comment in the podcast, in the post.
So if you're listening to this and if you're watching this, we're gonna have this clipped. This is gonna be a reel, and we
tell us what a reel is, James.
A reel is a short video on our Instagram page, on our YouTube Shorts, and then on Facebook. So if you're watching this reel right now, if you're listening, go find this reel, and we want you to comment on Mr. Gabrione's future.
Give me a yes as the best host of all time.
Best host of all. That's what people are going to be confused.
You're
How
right.
about just host or guest?
Host or guest. So comment below on this.
Host.
If you're listening to this, I know that
you're
not watching it.
Let's go.
Go ahead and comment below, and you're going to say guest or host, and people are going to decide.
This could be the last time you see me, guys. So
Mr. Gabrione's future.
Vote host, not guest. Let's go.
It's going to be big.
Is that an ultimatum? Is that an ultimatum?
No, it's not. The people would miss me.
Excellent, fellas. Well, we got a great episode coming up for you guys. A lot has been going on in the mortgage world, in the real estate world.
Yep.
A lot of different changes. Some things have been shaken up a little bit. So we're going to talk about that. All right, boys, let's get into some segments.
Do it.
Second time.
Got a great episode, but let's talk about segments. Let's go first with mortgage rates in a minute. The people's choice. I think everybody loves this segment because we get to see where mortgage interest rates are at. Mr. Weber, Mr. Gabrione, let's talk about it. Today is April 4th as we're recording
Happy
this.
Friday.
What's going on with mortgage rates, boys?
I think it's a good thing that we're doing V2 now, almost,
I do too.
right? Because so much has happened since we did V1.
That's right.
It's been like a colossal fallout in the 10-year treasury, right? And that's kind of normally the benchmark, what we watch for interest rates. Now we can go into a little bit deeper as we think that rates might or should be a little bit lower than where they stand right now. But maybe we could start with more of like the correlation between your normal 30-year fixed mortgage rate and the 10-year.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny that when we had this talk last week on V1 that we never were able to publish, we were talking about the anticipation of what tariffs are going to do to rates. And here we are a little over a week later. They've done it. And it actually happened. So wish we could play that back for everybody because we kind of predicted this volatility was coming.
We did.
With the uncertainty of tariffs. And I think, let's talk about the spread between the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate and the 10-year yield and why we think that that's wider than it's been in a long time, or historically, I should say, wider.
I mean, a lot of it right now is with investors just trying to kind of keep their pants up, right? Like Trump is playing poker, or is he for real with all this stuff? And I mean, again, mortgage rates so extremely volatile right now to start. Like that's just a blanket statement. But what we're dealing with right now is a lot of head fakes in the market.
Totally. People
don't really know what's going on. We're three guys sitting here in this room, but we're talking about very large investors and people that trade their money each and every day that unfortunately have a big impact on what we see on our side and what we're able to then pass along to our clients.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the easiest ways to explain it too is that high levels of volatility that the market is seeing, your S&P, your Dow, right, your NASDAQ, which are the big three that everybody watches, causes panic, right? Volatility causes panic. When those massive markets sell off, money then comes into the bond market, right?
Safer
So that's
play.
what we're seeing. Exactly. Safe haven asset. Buy bonds. That's where international hedge funds are just plugging their money. They're stripping it out of equities, putting it into bonds. That's driving our interest rates lower, the 10-year yield. So in layman's terms, that's probably the easiest, just high level way to explain that's what's happening over the last week.
And as money is coming into the bond market, they're also buying up mortgage bonds as well too, which, in turn would bring rates lower,
rates would be,
correct? Now we're talking about volatility. We were just outside the lab talking about how rates were moving literally 20 minutes ago. This morning was a huge dip in interest rates, and
386 on the 10-year, or 386 on the 10-year.
When's the last time the 10-year was beneath 4?
August of last year.
Yeah,
it was a quick blip on the radar, and then we rallied.
Quickly.
Yep.
But then what happened just a couple minutes ago? I mean, we were getting alerts
right back up to 4%
because it went right back up to 4%. So,
and the same thing happened last fall. Interest rates were almost at like their highest come winter of last year. It was crazy. I mean, the reversal is nuts, and it just speaks to the volatility.
Well, and like we were talking about before we came into the studio, rates go up much faster than they come down. And really the price behind the interest rate, the MBS coupon itself, the price that we get in terms of how we're offering our rates, it goes up way faster than it comes down. And a lot of times that's the investors that publish these rates. They're very protective of the volatility, and they know, like this morning, 10-year goes to 386, right? They could have given us 70 basis points, but then by noon they'd be scrambling with their rate sheets because it's right back to 4%, and they'd be stripping 50 basis points from us.
They'd be freaking out.
That's the game I think they're trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid the volatility inside their rate sheet, right? Inside of what they're doing and publishing. So to keep some of the volatility out of the rates that we're seeing, they're not giving us all that love that the 10-year is kind of telling us we should be getting, right? So a little bit of insight on that.
It's just pretty crazy that, we wake up in the morning and you're think like, all right, we're on the downturn of rates coming down. And then by noon, it's like, if somebody it whips right back. So, I mean, just in layman's terms for the people listening, if you're a consumer out there or even an agent, whoever's in the industry, you would have got a lower rate before noon this morning. And then it went right back up.
We all got alerts to lock.
Yeah, and it's tough, right? When you see on Instagram, real estate agents and other people, but clients are posting about mortgage rates, right?
It's time to refi.
And a day like today, as great as it is when we're, of course, building momentum and looking at people like, hey, you can refi now. It's a stressful day. It makes for a lot of conversations, some good, some bad. We have an existing pipeline of people that are locked at rates for 2-3 weeks ago. So we get a lot of those calls too. Like, it's not all flowers in the mortgage industry today.
It's a great point.
Definitely not.
It's a great point.
Not to mention our capital markets team. We've got a great team here at Leader One, and they're probably pulling their hair out today.
Oh yeah. Probably 57 emails deep on renegotiations and everything else. And I think that, ultimately for us as mortgage lenders, right, originators, we would love to see a slow trickle down of rates, right? Anytime there's this type of volatility, trying to manage your current pipeline of people who are shopping you now because they see on CNBC that the 10-year hit 386. What they didn't say is then it whipped right back to 4%. They didn't publish that, right?
So and normally that type of delta would result in even lower rates than what we're seeing today because of that volatility and because of our investors that we work with, some of the biggest in the nation, are worried about losing their ass.
Yes, exactly.
In the mere minutes.
And getting whipsawed.
Which happened.
No, I think it's just keeps going, these rates. It keeps going with our sentiment of it's super volatile. But we're steadily trickling down here as the first quarter has ended. We're lower than where we at to start the first quarter. And
I don't take lower mortgage rates, right? But we have asked multiple times in our 3 episodes and up until now for more of a stagnant market. Like, I don't need interest rates to be at 5.5%.
The interesting thing is going to be able to see, so what was, I'm using the 10-year yield, for example, what was previously acting as floors. Well, those floors evaporated because of the tariffs, right, that were announced,
Smoked
right? So it's just boom, right through them. Are those going to act as ceilings when we go and retest? Because that's typically what the market's going to do. It's going to then go back and see, okay, have those floors now become ceilings, right? So that we can kind of steadily continue to move lower.
Or is it going to go back up to
go right
through it and then continuously higher and higher?
Right back higher. Exactly. So that's really what's to be seen and to come here as we kind of watch this market. We'll see obviously a lot of headline news narratives around tariffs, uncertainty. What does any of it even mean? Which again is causing volatility, which is causing lower interest rates. But those lower interest rates on the 10-year yield aren't necessarily yielding lower mortgage rates as much as we would think we should be seeing, right? So
where do you think we're going into the second quarter, into the end of the year? Any suggestions, any predictions?
I mean, there was a lot of smart people that I subscribe to and read that are predicting, the 10-year yield to end the year at 380. We just touched 386 today.
We just did it today.
Right? So I think this whole tariff talk, volatility, it could open up much lower rates just because of the uncertainty on, is it going to cause the recession word starting to float around now?
Right.
So,
but if we can, let's say we hit 386 today, we did, but it stayed there. That's when mortgage rates. That's what we're trying to say, guys. If we can get a little bit of, say, continuity at that sub 4%, then investors will start to lower the rates. It doesn't happen right away because, again, it bounced right back. So people need to kind of protect their positions, frankly.
Totally. Yeah.
Interesting day with rates. Interesting week with rates. We will continue to keep you guys updated on our mortgage rates in a minute segment. I know it's always longer than a minute. It deserves longer than a minute though.
But I think we can all go on the record and say, just in terms of really trying to predict interest rates, like this administration wants lower rates.
They do.
I mean, Trump literally comes out today and says Fed Chair Powell should be lowering interest rates. Fed Chair Powell comes back with a right hook and says, I think your tariffs are inflationary, so I'm going to wait to see what the data says. So it's a game of chess right now.
It is.
But this administration wants lower rates. So I think as we head into the third quarter, fourth quarter, that's what we're going to see as some of this stuff plays out, the chess game. But I think ultimately we're kind of on that first stage of lower rates.
But at the same time,
it's going to whip and round. Though.
This administration doesn't want to see equity sell off like they've sold the past couple of days. No one does, right? Like
nobody does.
I mean,
stripping billions of dollars out of the stock market every day. It's crazy.
Gosh.
I still don't think we hit fives this year.
No,
in my personal opinion, I think we could. It's a huge move. Even today, we keep saying like the 10-year was a huge move, but it's not nearly as big. We need continual moves lower on the 10-year to bring down mortgage interest rates.
And it needs to stay there.
A couple hundred basis points away still, right?
And
it's a big move.
A couple hundred basis points is
massive move.
Massive. So we'll keep you guys updated on our segments every single time we, film and record these episodes. We need to keep you updated on interest rates. What's the rate? Well, I'll do another. What's the interest rate today, Mr. Weber?
Oh, man. I think last time I answered this question on the podcast, I gave a range of like 5 to 8%, right?
Yeah.
Let's dial it a little bit more. I quoted somebody today on a 7-1 arm that was borrowing, a loan in jumbo territory. We'll call it north of $1 million, and it was 6.25, right? That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So very nice.
Then there's another person.
Explain the 7-year arm aspect of it though, right? Because there's some
so
perks of having the 7-year arm. It's kind of a 7-year rate, right?
Yeah, it's a 30-year fixed mortgage, right? At its crux, but the rate that the introductory rate is only fixed for 7 years or 84 months,
which is a really long time.
It's a long time, man. And that's what people don't realize, especially if you're borrowing that type of money, right outside of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac territory. When you're into the jumbo territory, if you're borrowing that amount of money and you can see a spread from 6.25 to maybe today's conventional rate, which I quoted another one at 6.75.
6.7.
That's 50 bips in rate on $1 million of paper.
Huge.
That's big, right? And it makes a lot of sense financially for somebody to look at that lower rate and look at the risk associated with 7 years of fixed payments and say, that's the way to go.
And by the way, I'm going to probably have a good chance of refinancing this note inside the 7 years, right?
So, or selling the property.
Exactly.
The average time a person spends in one specific mortgage in this country is anywhere from 5 to 7 years.
Yep.
So I always tell people when they're looking at their 30-year fix, I will bet every single dollar that I have that you will not be in this loan for 30 years.
And that number's going
more than
down
7.
too.
I'd probably bet every dollar.
Yeah. That number's going down because it's a lot of people around our age, right, that are now homeowners, and they're more likely to move more frequently than maybe the generation
think about it, it's going to go
us.
down even more now that we've been coming out of a super high interest rate environment.
There's people with 8% in their mortgage right now.
Yep.
A lot of them.
Yep.
So life events happen, you sell, you need to move, or you refinance that existing mortgage. So when you see a 30-year
downsize, I mean, there's a million things.
When you see that 360 months, that's how many months I have to make that payment. That's what it's amortized at, but you'll never make 360 months on that original loan.
No, I just went from a rate in the 2s on a 30-year fixed paper to a rate in the 6s on a 7-1 arm. I went for the arm knowing that I'd rather, if it was a 30-year fix, I think I'd be at the higher 6 mark.
Sure.
Very similar to the example I just gave, right? I opted for me and my family to go with a 7-year arm at an interest rate in the lower 6s because it made a ton of sense financially for me.
Yep.
I'm banking on refinancing that loan, and if I don't, I'm still comfortable with what I've been given.
I love it.
Yeah, and I think if I don't mean to belabor the rates, but I think let's just say today we're in the mid 6s, mid to high 6s, depending on your FICO, your LTV, your entire situation. A move into the mid 5s would be massive, though, for the mortgage market.
It
right?
would.
I just think it would move so many people. People would actually start listing their homes that have been wanting to sit on their 3% rate, right? And just the spread's too big to go buy a new home.
It's psychological.
Psychological.
That number is
that mid 5s. I'm telling you,
Yes.
5.5 gets people just dancing.
that is that
People
number.
are- yeah.
That is that number. If we, when we get there at some point, that's going to.
Which let's talk about that. That's a really good segue.
Yep.
That's awesome, right? 5.5% mortgage rates. Like everyone would be really excited about that. With more sellers becomes more buyers because those people are turning around and buying new homes.
Yep.
We've beaten this to a dead horse, but that's going to take property values even higher.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because a home that's getting 10 offers right now, that's what we had to do in our home is beat out 10 other offers.
Yep.
That might get 20, 30, 40, 50. Like those numbers sound egregious, but that's what we dealt with a couple of years ago. That could happen again if we saw rates fly down to 5.5.
And there's not a million magical new homes being built every month.
No,
either.
absolutely
So
not.
It's lagging big time.
that
Absolutely
rate
not.
don't mean if you don't have a home to put it
Nope.
on a mortgage,
That's
to be
right.
honest. And it's tough. So we need inventory to kind of pick up, but if rates do go down, yes, inventory will come about, but this just means more buyers
It brings
as well
more
too.
buyers. Yeah,
Yep.
it's not just all sellers.
Exactly.
It's more buyers too. It's more competition.
I love it,
Totally.
boys. Well, thanks for the mortgage rates in a minute segment. Again, we'll continue to do this each and every week.
I think it deserves a.
Yeah.
That was a good segment.
It was.
Clap it
Let's.
up,
I love the clap hands. Sometimes I don't know how to lower
kids.
this.
Is that one?
We're rookies.
We are rookie podcasters.
I'm over here touching buttons. Best host of all time. Jesus.
The co-host is just touching buttons. Co-host today. Let's get into our next segment. One of my personal favorite segments, lab tested questions. We had 2 this week, so thank you
Love
guys
it.
so much for submitting your questions. We always want questions about anything that has to do with real estate, mortgages, the market, and even some one-offs as well too. So keep bringing those in. If you're a loan officer out there and has some questions that you want to answer down here, do it. Home buyers, sellers, agents, attorneys, we got you. We're going to feature you on this segment. Let's get into our first one.
You can ask about the Bears too.
You can ask about the Bears
It's almost
as well.
draft time. You
Please.
guys, if you want to ask about the Bears, feel free.
First question. This person wanted to remain anonymous.
Okay.
I'm going to read it off right now. I'm going to be purchasing some real estate with my dental practice. I paid for an official appraisal last year to see how much it would cost, and it came back at $885,000. I spoke with the seller a few weeks ago, and he stated his friend in real estate, surprise, surprise,
Shocking.
believes that the property will be appraised at $1.2 million. Can an appraisal change this much in a year? Is basically what this person is asking. Now, I know this is commercial real estate, guys, so we might have some varying answers with, the commercial side. We're not in the commercial real estate business, but
Same
I
idea.
think it was a great question asking, can appraisals vary by, this was 1.2 compared to 885?
50%.
That's huge.
Almost close. I mean, it's like 30%, 20% change. Can appraisals vary that much in any market? What do you guys think?
Well, you said 8. What was the number?
885,
It's 50%.
50%.
It's 400 grand more.
You are right. It's 50%.
It's like,
Here's the short answer is yes, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
Is it likely, and is that something that we expect to happen? No.
no. And I think, disclaimer, right? This is commercial real estate.
Correct.
We're not
Yeah.
necessarily looking at commercial real estate appraisals nearly as much, if not ever. I've seen a couple, but we're not looking at those daily like we are residential real estate reports, but we all have seen it, right? 10 different appraisers can bring in 10 different values to the same property.
It's an individual
It is.
slapping a value on
Yep.
a home.
It's
Or in this case,
literally
a
listed
business.
as opinion of value
It is.
on the appraisal report. And
Right.
that's
Now
residential.
they're supposed to
that's
use
commercial.
comps, right?
Yes.
But there could be 15 comps. You could argue some comps are better than others in terms of proximity, overall square footage. There's a million things that go into these things. The reality is though that there's a ton of volatility in appraisals in general. Once you get into the higher numbers, right? 5% of 1.5 million, 75 grand. 5% of 300,000 is only $15,000,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
to me, a normal variance is around that 5 to 8%.
Okay.
But when you get above $1 million, that can be a big number, 100 grand, right?
Oh,
So
big time.
that's a big difference.
Yeah.
And why I think the industry is going to, we've already seen it with the automated appraisals, right? The
Hybrid
valuations.
appraisals, I think they're doing now,
They're
right?
doing hybrids. We're getting AUS approvals with just an appraisal waiver, right?
Yep.
Where it's saying this is the
90%
value.
LTV,
Yep.
10% down. It used to be 20.
Yep.
Right. That was always that way on refis, but now on purchases too, you can get an appraisal waiver with 10%
Yep.
down.
And an appraisal waiver means we punch the data into the system
Fannie
and the
likes
system comes back and Fannie and Freddie say, hey,
Yep.
guess what? You're only putting 10% down. We like the value that you're
Yeah.
buying this home at. You
a good
don't need
loan.
an appraisal.
And it's usually based on a prior appraisal that was
Sure.
logged with Fannie or Freddie. So they have that in their system, and then they got their algorithm spitting out normal levels of appreciation over the last couple of years. And then if what we're putting in there kind of jives with their algorithm,
Sure.
they gave us a waiver. It's pretty cool.
So I think just to answer this question,
Yep.
and you guys did a great job of it, when you get into the home values in the millions and even the commercial space where there's not as many comps
Yep.
or comparable sales, when we say comps, guys, we need comparable
Comparable
sales. That when you get into those higher values where there's not as many comparable sales, there is a decent chance that you can get varying opinions of value from the appraiser because he or she does not have that many examples to go off of. And
Right.
it's very hard to put a value onto that specific property.
Because they're not working off something, right? I mean, on a purchase, the contract goes to the appraiser too.
Sure.
Yeah.
But very important to mention that they are working to get to that number. Different than this, or in a refinance situation, like Joe said, 10 different appraisers can go out and put 10 different values.
Yep.
That's a little bit more unlikely
Yep.
on a purchase,
Totally.
right? Because
Agreed.
that
Working off a contract.
you've got a contract, you've got the number, and you're trying to hit that number.
So I think in this scenario, Mr. Anonymous, make sure you get an appraisal.
Yeah.
right?
100%.
Not the real estate buddy who says it's worth 1.2.
Do your homework.
Yeah.
The real estate buddy was trying to pull a fast one,
Correct.
I think. And
Yeah.
the seller was too. Go get an appraisal
Did it go
done.
from 8 something to $1 million? Maybe in the
it may
last
have.
year.
It could have,
Yes.
but go
We've
get
seen
some
home
proof on
values.
paper.
Exactly.
And so thank you for the question.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great question and something that we can talk about on this. If you guys have commercial stuff, again, we're not in the commercial space, but this really segued into the residential
Yeah.
space.
We can also
talking about
connect you with people
appraisals.
that absolutely are too,
Yep.
right? We've got a very wide network of referral partners that work in that space. So
I love it.
anyone on the commercial side, we've
Love
got
it.
you.
Next question from the Jake Timms. What are your thoughts on building new versus buying an old home and renovating? Really, really great question.
Great question.
Yeah, it is.
Who wants to start on this one?
I'll
Mr.
start
Weber.
it because it goes back to what we say every single time when we get this type of situationally specific question is it's just that it's specific to your financial situation. Buying a new home, very risky when you're looking at it at a, in a much more macro level.
Yep.
There's a lot more things that can go wrong, that can go right. If you're buying an old home, purchasing an old home with the intention of fixing it up, at least you have your home, right?
Yeah.
You're not building it from the ground up. You have somewhere to live. Maybe you can do the kitchen while you live upstairs, or you're redoing your bathrooms and bedrooms and the whole family's in the basement. You can't do that
Right.
when there's nothing built.
Sure.
Yep.
Right. So again, situationally specific. That's where I would take that to start.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. I think that it really depends. I think like Mr. Weber said, right? Like what are you looking for? If you're looking for something where you want it exactly how you want it, you better be building a house because you're not going to find that, right? I was at a renovation event yesterday, and I one of the things I took away is turnkey doesn't exist, right?
Right.
Like maybe move in ready, right? That was, I think, what
Yeah.
Mr. Renovation used, but
Yeah.
turnkey, like nobody's buying a turnkey home these days, right? The average age of a home in the United States is like 42 years old. Think about that, right? Inventory is aging, and there's not enough new homes being built every single month. We see that in the inventory numbers in terms of the new home starts. So I think that if your budget allows, I think buying a new home is obviously, of course, gets you everything exactly the way you want it. Everything you want in that home is going to be there.
Custom
right?
built.
It's custom built.
Yeah, if your
Exactly.
finishes, everything.
But you're paying today's prices, right? So if you're looking at a small renovation project, right, you can buy a home that's got a bunch of great bones, right? You don't need to re-pour any foundation. You can remodel the kitchen. You could do some pretty cool upgrades, and you're only paying today's prices on what you're fixing today.
Sure.
So the cost of labor, the
Yep.
cost of lumber, right?
Which is all at
They
pretty
don't-
much, all-time highs or very
Yeah.
close to where they were, right?
they don't make them like they used to, right?
No.
No,
the
they
old
don't.
bones on those houses, man.
No. they
I
don't.
would, I'm sure we've all thought about building and looked into it. Me personally, it's very overwhelming
Yeah.
for me, and it costs a lot of money as well too. And you just
Yeah.
mentioned how your finances are, Mr. Gabrione. If you have the finances to just build the exact home that you want, I think you go new construction
Yep.
because you have that flexibility financially to be able to do that. It's very nice to be able to pick exact finishes, where walls
Exactly.
go, all those different type of things. It's a lot though. Contractors, permits,
risk
good
tolerance.
builders.
I mean, buying
risk
a home
tolerance,
that
man.
already exists is stressful. You know, imagine a 9 to 12 month build, right? All that goes into it, and picking out the blueprints and picking out door handles.
And
Right?
what happens if you
I don't
start
have the
butting
patience for
heads
that.
with your builder, right? Like that,
Exactly,
and that
which
happens.
happens.
It does, and that can lead to
Massive
legal
delays.
ramifications and delays, and the list goes on.
Yeah, first time home buyers, I would say go with looking at renovating as
Totally.
opposed to building a new
Totally
home,
agree.
in my opinion.
Yeah, build the next one.
Build
Start
the
with the
next one.
renovation
Yeah.
project.
Right.
Exactly.
If you're going to be a first-time home buyer, and again, I mean, situationally specific, a doctor that's going out and wants to build his brand new home and he's doing very well from the start and is willing to take on all that risk, yeah, go build your new home and do it up big,
Yeah.
right? But if
Yeah,
you're putting down 5% and trying to get a renovation loan,
Yeah, exactly. Buy an existing home and renovate it, you know, and ultimately I think if I've always thought about this personally, like if I've always said I wanted to build and then I've thought about it. I'm like, no, I don't. You know, I've gone back and forth. But I think to me, the perfect scenario is if you find that property, right? The location that you fall in love with and you can buy the land first.
Oh,
if
man.
you're financially
Boom.
able, right?
Yep.
Buy the land.
You're
Now
hitting
you
it
have
on
the
the head.
time. Find the right builder. Do your due diligence. Take years to do it,
Sure.
right? Instead of feeling like, oh my God, I gotta move out of my condo.
school starts in fall for the kids.
Then you're going to want to buy an existing residence.
Dude,
in
that's
my
so
opinion.
important. I'm glad you
Yep.
said that because you cannot change your location
No.
of your home. You can't pick it up. You
Nope.
know, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to literally build this on that land. So,
Exactly.
yeah, good point, man.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake Timms.
Yeah, great
the
question.
Jake Timms from on Instagram. One of my buddies from high school,
Nice.
actually.
There we
yeah,
go.
Jake.
All right, so that was lab tested questions. Boys, let's kind of talk about what's going on in the market right now. I mean, we are hot and heavy into the spring market. We're going to have Joe talk from a macro level on all the applications that he sees coming in. I'll give an example of how hot this market is personally. I had some clients and good friends of mine looking in the Downers Grove area in Illinois.
Super hot.
First time home buyers, and every single home they offered on multiple offers.
Yep.
We're talking
Oh, yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 multiple offers. Thank God for them. We got under contract. We're closing soon, but
Nice.
it's hot and heavy right now, fellas. And we kind of predicted this, right?
Yep.
We had talked
Spring
about
market's
this.
here.
Yeah, I think North Shore is still the toughest place to get an offer accepted. Western Burbs is number 2.
Yeah. Oh,
Easily.
God.
And giving the North Shore a really good run for its money.
Yeah.
Right
No, I
now it's
agree.
nuts.
Now we're still seeing some homes sit on the market though. I'll
Yep.
tell you guys that much. And I
Mm-hmm.
think you guys see that, especially around me. I'm in the south suburbs. I think the reason that is because they're not priced right.
Exactly.
They are not priced right. I was talking with a realtor the other day and I said, price is everything when it comes to listing homes. Even if there's a lack of inventory and the inventory is getting a little bit better, if that puppy's not priced right, then it's going to sit.
It's going to sit.
And when it sits, not as many people are interested in that home. They might think something's wrong with
Exactly.
it.
Longer it sits, the people think there's problems.
Yeah.
So it's still hot and heavy out there, but there still are homes, really great homes out there that continue to pop up. You guys, if you're listening to this and you're in the market, you have to be quick on buying a home or putting in an offer. And I know that sounds crazy, but just hear me out, is get all of your paperwork, all of your mortgage stuff, get comfortable with your payments.
Get underwritten.
Yeah.
I mean,
Get
Get fully
underwritten.
underwritten.
get fully underwritten.
Get
Like,
fully underwritten.
compete with
and
cash offers.
be-
Compete with all these crazy ass people offering over, right? Like,
Yeah.
Back when I
Be
was
ready.
back when I was buying my first house, me and my wife were able to go back to the house that we eventually bought a couple times to go do, a couple showings on it. You can't do that shit
Take
anymore.
measurements and everything.
Yeah,
and
you can't do that anymore. So get prepared early so that you can make that quick decision. And I know it's a quick decision on a big investment, but you can get educated on that decision and feel comfortable and ready to attack
absolutely.
right when you do it.
Yeah, I don't think we're sitting here saying rush into making.
Not at all.
If
No.
you're in the market to buy a home, be ready to make an offer. So get fully underwritten, have all your docs in. Talk to a smart loan officer like one of you guys, right? Do your total cost analysis. Know exactly what your plan is going to be. Be prepared, right? Because there's going to be a lot of hurt feelings because there's just not a lot of inventory out there. So people are going to be missing out on what they think is their dream home. That's just the reality. Because when you get 20 offers on a home, only one person gets it.
Yeah.
Right? So
Only one person wins. There's no participation trophy just
No.
because you offered, right? I think it's worth mentioning too that it's seller specific
Yeah.
with price, right? It's not always the real estate agent's fault. Like somebody that wants to sell their home right away might list it at a recommendation of an agent at, let's say, $800,000, but the agent well knows that home's going to go for $1 million or more because they want a lot of interest. They want to sell quickly, so they want multiple offers.
Yep.
In
Create
that
a bidding
same,
war.
yeah, exactly. In the
Yep.
same scenario, maybe that person's like, no, I don't have to sell this right now. Let's start at 1 million.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of see what happens.
Exactly.
That causes homes to sit as well.
Yep.
It's a great point, and I'm glad you brought it up because there are people out there who are sellers and are not professional real estate agents, and they think I can get top dollar for my home. And I think people don't understand that the list price is a marketing tool.
It is.
Totally.
When that listing pops up and it's lower than what people thought it was, that gets a lot of eyes on your home
And
that you're
interest.
listing and interest. And all that does is drive up the price. This isn't, I think I've said this before. It's not like you walk into Walmart and there's TVs and everybody buys the same TV at the same price.
No.
Well,
That list price is a marketing tool.
Exactly.
And you need to listen to your professional real estate agents on their opinion on what they think they should list the home at. That doesn't mean you have to sell it at that list price, and they're doing you a favor by listing it at that specific price to get top dollar for your home.
Right.
Totally.
Because the questions that they're asking you based on timeline and price and where you're moving and everything, that all goes into the plan. If you're working with an established professional, at least they know exactly what is going to work and what's not going to work and how that timeline kind of plays into the overall structure.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is I think if you're in the market to sell your home, find a really good agent that's done a lot of transactions, especially in the area where you're looking to sell. I think that's all super important. Like someone that knows the school systems, they know exactly what that market it represents, and ultimately what kind of money that you can get for your sale, right? Like I think it's funny sometimes when you talk to somebody, they're like, yeah, my buddy's listed my house who lives in another state, or right, like I'm joking, but they live like 30 miles away and they're the ones listing your home. It's like, well, they don't know your market. I think it's super important making sure you're using an agent that understands the market that you're in to sell. If you want to get top dollar.
Right? It's hyper local right now. It's more than ever this real estate. But yesterday in that renovation event, Vince made a point, Mr. Renovation, about talking to the real estate agents in the room. Before you could just put an iPhone picture on the internet, and it's going to get eyeballs, it's going to get offers. Now you have to work for it, right? So how is somebody that is 20 miles away going to show your home every single day that's getting interest, right? Like it's just a little bit of a tougher sell right now.
Totally.
But not if you're positioned with the right professional.
Totally agree. And I think the market's hot, right? It's spring market. Interest rates are starting to come down. So that's bringing people who are kind of on the sidelines waiting for this to happen are now starting to become buyers. So we're seeing more and more offers, like you said, multiple offer situations. We're seeing it with the overall pipeline here. All the leading indicators that we're constantly watching to see, okay, where's the market going? Where's the pipeline going? Credit reports, applications, locks, they're all up, and they're up 20, 30, 40% week over week. So we're seeing the activity, people, and these aren't refis, right? I mean, we last month, which closed out on Monday, I think we ended up 8.2% refis. We're still 92% purchase. So we're not doing refis. These are people coming into the market looking to buy properties now that rates are starting to tick down, and it's just spring market. It's thawed out a little bit here in Chicagoland, right? Like we're starting to see activity. Hopefully we don't see any more snow, and this is when it starts to really pick up and get hot.
A lot of those people are first-time sellers. We talk so much about first-time buyers. These are first-time sellers, people that are used to having a 3% interest rate that now are going into the sixes, and it's like it's just time, right? Because maybe they're a little bit worried after speaking with professionals. If interest rates go down and property values go up, you could actually be in a worse off situation.
For sure. Awesome. So we're going to keep everybody updated on how the market's moving as well too. I think from this time, it's April 4th today, April 4th, 2024, business is up for us. There's more people transacting on a year over year basis.
We just finished with a nice quarter one. We did. Last year compared to this year in Q1, I would think the numbers look a lot better.
Totally.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And that's great for homeowners out there and buyers out there as well too. People are getting into, the home of their dreams, and that just makes everybody happy all around. So it's been awesome. We think this is going to continue through 2025.
I think it's going to be a busy year. We're already seeing it. So we're excited.
Love it. Let's get
move on to some picks.
The
Final
last
four weekend,
segment.
baby.
So,
to the church.
Thanks, Mr. Gabrione. So this is version 2.
There we go.
This is version 2 of episode 4, and we had to re-record this, like we said. On version 1 of episode 4,
we went through all Elite 8 games.
You were not only the rate whisperer, but you're the locksmith.
Exactly.
And what we did on last episode 4 is right before the Elite. Or no, it was Sweet 16 weekend.
You're right, because there was 8 games. Sweet 16. Sorry.
We love college hoops. We call them Joey Buckets. We call them Rate Whisperer.
But we picked all the games, so we even picked the Elite 8, didn't we?
We picked Elite 8, I believe. We went, 8-0. We just did Sweet 16, I believe.
All I know is that people watching and listening to this would be a lot wealthier if that episode had went out and you followed our picks. I think we were 5-3.
We were 5-3.
That's pretty damn
solid,
good, man.
Solid 5-3 on our 8 picks.
So yes, we're in the mortgage industry, we're in the real estate industry, but we love college hoops. Joey Buckets over here loves college hoops.
Soon to be Joey Diamonds now that baseball started. So.
Joey Diamonds.
Last episode we did pick, I think we went 8 games, and it was a lot of winners in those 8 games. So
a lot of chalk. We have a Final Four full of one seeds for the first time since like was like the 90s or something.
Yeah,
like early 2000s. I don't know.
A lot of favorites covering in this NCAA March Madness. We're gonna dive in. We're gonna pick the Final Four here. Kicking off tomorrow, Saturday. We got 2 1 seeds going at it. We got Florida and Auburn, both, in my opinion, national title contenders. Obviously, everybody is at this point, but I think everybody here actually, for the first time, has a real chance.
Yeah, it's
in previous years, somebody upsets somebody and they kind of get into the Final Four, and that's usually where their destiny ends. This year, I could see any one of these 4 teams winning it all, which is rare. So Florida, Auburn, 2 dominant teams, both out of the SEC, which is rare in a Final Four. 2 SEC schools. Florida is the favorite, laying 2.5. 2, who I thought Auburn was the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. So it's rare to see that the number 1 overall seed isn't favored here. What do you guys think? Because Florida was done. And then they had the most crazy comeback on, I think it was Saturday. I mean, they were down. They finished the game on a 16-2 run to win by 4. I mean, they were down 10 with 3 minutes.
Well, we had Texas Tech in our
Calcutta.
Yeah, that was rough.
So that wasn't great.
What do I think? I mean, I'll give you
wow.
Auburn's big man. What's Auburn's big man name?
Broom.
That guy,
maybe that has something to do with it because he got hurt and he ended up coming back.
He is a savage down low, man.
Bruce Pearl says he's the best player in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched him just bang bodies down low, and it was truly like amazing to watch him kind of do his thing. I don't know if Florida has a answer for him.
They can shoot though when they get hot.
They got a lot of bigs. They're throwing a lot of 6'10" to 7'2" at you. And it can create some issues, but I think that ultimately Texas Tech showed how you can kind of neutralize that.
Sure.
Because they had Toppin going off down low, and I think Brom's better. I agree with you. I think he's going to be really hard to stop. I think some of the Florida bigs are a little soft, or at least they look soft this past weekend. Brom's not. And the beautiful thing about Brom, he's a great passer. So when he gets down low, if they try to swarm him, Auburn's just loaded with shooters outside.
Yeah.
So
Toppin was just hitting everything too. They were
I
feeding
know.
him. He was giving an elbow like old NBA street style, and just
this one, to be honest with you, with me is a toss up. I know who I'm picking on the other game, or at least who I'm going to say I'm picking. I'm going to audible this, at least my pick, to Joey Buckets over here. And
I gotta say, I like Auburn.
I like
Auburn. They look sharp. The percentages are saying we got 66% of the bets on Florida, 62% of the money on Auburn. I like it.
Bruce Pearl's been there, man. Good coach.
Yeah.
That says something too.
War Eagle.
Let's do it.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right. Auburn's our first pick of the Final Four.
This other game, a little bit more interesting, man.
Tough.
Big line.
Crazy. And actually, there's actually steam on Duke, which I'm kind of surprised. So Duke and Houston are battling off. Current line sitting at Duke -5.
Wow.
Thought it opened at 4 or 4.5. So we've had a little bit of movement in Duke's favor, whereas we didn't touch on Florida Auburn. Line hasn't moved since the open.
Yeah.
Opened at 2.5, hasn't moved at all. This one, it's moved a little bit in Duke's favor. All I have to say is if Houston plays defense like they did in the first half against Tennessee, I don't think anybody can beat them.
They shut Tennessee down.
That was insane.
Man. That was,
these guys are,
that game was over
like men
at
versus
halftime.
boys.
That game was
wild.
done.
Now Duke is a whole nother flavor. So
Duke was my pre-tournament pick to win it all. Now we're talking point spreads, right? So that's 5.5 or 5 is a big
Depending
point
on where you're
spread.
getting it.
I don't know if they cover. I do think Duke wins. And I think Duke goes on to the national championship. However, I don't know if they cover.
Yeah, we said it in the last episode, which of course V1, rest in peace, right? But Duke is not good in 1-score games. They're like 1-3 or 1-4 in 1-score games, which is testament to them just beating the shit out of people all year. But if anyone's going to give them that 1-score game, it's Houston.
Yep.
So even if Duke wins, 5 is a big line in a Final Four game, man. Like,
I mean, some of these lines are 5.5. Too.
Yeah, I see 5.5 on ESPN bet over here, man.
You know, it's interesting. I think that Calvin Sampson, he's going to have these guys ready to play.
He's never won a title, though.
Never won a title.
Yeah, he's been on.
But he knows
forever.
how to muck up the game and just dirty it up, right? And what I mean is, you know, create long shot clock opportunities for Houston, try to keep the ball out of Duke's hands, you know, get dirty, chippy, right? Like down low, they're not going to give any freebies. These guys are just tough, right? They're ballers, they're bruisers. It just seems like a lot of points. I agree. I could see this come down to final possession, you know, Duke or Houston. You know, I actually have Duke winning it all in one of my pools as well. So I think Duke money line, Houston plus the points, right? If you were going to, this is a good middle game.
I'm taking the points.
I like the
Houston.
points.
Yeah,
I think it's Duke win. Okay, so is that what we're
like
on that podcast?
Yes.
Duke wins but does not cover, and
like
then
that.
we have Duke.
That's also the later game. That's 7:50. So there's
It
gonna be
is.
a ton of action on Saturday during that first game.
So now, boys,
more.
we have Duke Auburn.
Okay.
In the national championship. I know there's not a point spread on that. So let's just pick winners and let's go down the line. We'll start with Joey Buckets and think who's going to win the national championship, Duke versus Auburn.
Duke.
Give me Auburn.
Oh, I like
Mr.
it,
Weber.
Mr. Weber.
I like it.
I don't like the Dukies. Never have.
I know.
But they are so damn good.
They got so much talent on
I
the
love
roster.
John Shire.
Yeah.
I remember
Shire.
watching
I like
him when I was
Flag.
in
I like
like
all those
7th
guys.
grade.
I remember
He
him
was-
watching him crush my Crusaders when I was a kid. It was like the Final Four down in at Bradley, and you know, and it was just like it was Shire versus Frazier, Bobby Frazier, our guy. Shire went off. It was like, who the hell is this guy? Then of course you found out a year later, freshman at Duke, started all 4 years, like obviously Coach K's boy, and now he's the head coach. Like
it's crazy.
The guy's a nut.
He's
the best.
All right, Lone Lab
Sharpshooter.
Podcast has the winners, has the pick.
Oh, yeah.
We have Auburn covering and winning. We have Houston covering, Duke winning. We have Mr. Joey Buckets. Duke,
If it ends up Duke Auburn, I like Duke.
Duke national champion. Me, Duke national champion. Mr. Weber.
Auburn, but I'd like to see
War
that
Eagle.
line. You know, we don't have that yet.
We don't have
but-
it.
Yeah.
By the time you
Agreed.
guys are watching or listening to this, these games have already been played out, and we've already gone 2-0. We'll see who goes 3-0.
Let's go.
Let's go.
From the national championship. We love March Madness, love college hoops. Boys, anything to finish the episode?
Yeah, I just think people don't forget host, not guest.
We got a big vote coming.
And we're going to
up,
be doing some awesome giveaways. So don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do it all.
Yeah.
We want to do some big ticket giveaways. I got a couple other secrets up my sleeve. So tune in, like, share, subscribe. We want to hear from the people.
Give us the love, guys.
Give us
this
the
is
love.
episode 4, version 2.
V2.
V2 is better than V1.
It was.
I think it
It
was.
was.
Yeah.
It
So
was.
we're giving
Except
the,
for our picks. Our picks were money.
5 and 3 is nuts, man. I love that.
Well, we're going to go 2-0 on these
Let's
picks. We can't thank you guys enough for giving us all the love and support, listening, watching. We get text messages about the podcast, so we appreciate it. Thank you for the patience on this episode. Like we said, we're podcast rookies.
Yep.
We're getting better though, man. Every single time, like it just feels more comfortable.
It does.
We're
Hey,
clicking.
who can predict a SIM card going out?
I
40
know,
minutes
right.
in? Come
It's
on.
nuts,
That's
dude.
not on us.
Just before we end it, quick stats. I don't know if you guys know this about the podcast, but we are about 15 downloads away for 250 downloads,
Nice.
which is
Let's go.
another
Let's go.
milestone.
Let's
So
get them
we,
right here.
we appreciate all the love. Please download on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, we're on all streaming platforms. We love you guys, and thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.
Let's go. Lone Lab.
Let's go. Let's go.